Okay, Lana Del Rey sis. Lana Del Rey sis, we need to have a talk today, okay? Bitch, first of all, don't come for me when I do say I'm not a news channel. I don't discuss news. Y'all, don't be saying, darling, what do you think about this? No. Okay? I talk about the news when I want to talk about the news. I feel like this is a topic that I really should be talking about right now because I am a Lana Del Rey stan. I need to share some of the tea, express how I'm feeling about this, because girl, if I'm gonna be standing somebody and I'm gonna be, supporting them, I have to call them out when some shit go down and they are in the right and the wrong, is what I'm gonna say. I'm very impartial when it comes to stuff like this. But girl, first, do you see who's back there? Oh, messy. That's my sheets. Okay, girl, who's back there? It's you, Lana. Oh. First, let me just express I am messy myself. And I'm just a semi-problematic Twitter gay who likes A&W root beer and tea. Lana Del Rey. Let's read this, y'all. You can skip to this timestamp if you don't want to hear it, if you've already heard it or read it. This is what Lana Del Rey posted today on Instagram. And I'm trying to get through this quickly because Carly Rae Jepsen on this day as well. Lana, don't taint this day. Girl. Carly Rae Jepsen just dropped Dedicated Side B. I gotta react to that quick. So quick. We on time limit. Girl, the sun's going down. Question for the culture. Now that Doja Cat, Ariana, Camila, Cardi B, Kehlani, and Nicki Minaj and Beyonce have had #1 to songs about being sexy, wearing no clothes, fucking, cheating, etc. Can I please go back to singing about being embodied, feeling beautiful by being in love, even if the relationship is not perfect, or dancing for money or whatever I want without being crucified or saying that I'm glamorizing abuse? Okay, we'll talk about that. I'm fed up with female writers and alt singers saying that I glamorize abuse when in reality I'm just a glamorous person singing about the realities of what we are all now seeing are very prevalent, emotionally abusive relationships all over the world. With all the topics women are finally allowed to explore, I just want to say over the last 10 years, I think it's pathetic that my minor lyrical exploration, detailing my sometimes submissive or passive roles in my relationships, has often made people say I've set women back hundreds of years. Let this be clear. I am not a feminist. Okay, got that double negative there, girl? Don't get it twisted. I'm not a feminist. She's saying she is a feminist, girl. Where am I? I'm not a feminist, but there has to be a place in feminism for women who look like and act like me. The kind of woman who says no, but men hear yes. The kind of women who are slated mercilessly for being their authentic, delicate selves. The kind of women who get their own stories and voices taken away from them by stronger women or by men who hate women. I've been honest and optimistic about the challenging relationships I've had. Newsflash, that's just how it is for many women. And that was sadly my experience until the point that those records were made. So I just want to say it's been a long 10 years of bullshit reviews up until recently, and I've learned a lot from them. But I also feel it really paved the way for other women to stop putting on a happy face and to just be able to say whatever the hell they wanted to in their music. Unlike my experience, where if I even expressed a note of sadness in my first 2 records, I was deemed literally hysterical as though it was literally the 1920s. Anyway, none of this has anything to do about much, but I'll be detailing some of my feelings in my next couple books, yada yada yada. I'm still making personal reparations with the proceeds of the book to my choice of Native American foundations, which I'm very happy about. Good on you. And I'm sure there will be tinges of what I've been pondering in my new album that comes out September 5th. Girl, couple things here. So after I read that, I actually responded to something on Twitter. So let's be completely transparent here. I'm going to say what I said on first impression. Someone, let me scroll through this. So this person on Twitter said, I wonder why Lana is so randomly angry. I feel like everyone stopped criticizing her lyrics after Honeymoon. I responded 17 hours ago. I said, I think that's exactly why. The first few albums, Born to Die especially, were so crucial in impacting the sound of pop as a genre, and the fact that she's faced such scrutiny and criticism for her portrayal of real relationships in the past, now paving the way for new woman voices, it's an attack on her artistry that I think she will remain bitter about for her entire career. That was her entry point, her doorway in, and she used it to express something authentic that people are praised for today, but she had to bear the criticism. So girl, I'm going to talk about what I said, and I'm also going to discuss things that I've been feeling about what Lana said. So let's start with the first paragraph. And she did make a couple of comments just adding on to what she meant, kind of providing context, but we'll get to that later. So she said, now that, first of all, question for the culture. So what culture? The culture is lit, and if this is it, I had a ball, girl. The pop culture. She's talking about pop culture in general. That's a huge scope. So she's calling out mainstream culture. Now that Doja Cat, so take this in. Now that Doja Cat, Ariana, Camila, Cardi B, Kehlani, and Nicki Minaj and Beyonce, that's 7 people, did I get it right? Have had number ones with songs about being sexy, wearing no clothes, fucking, cheating, etc. Can I please go back to singing about being embodied, feeling beautiful, and being in love, even if the relationship is not perfect, or dancing for money, or whatever I want, without being crucified or saying that I'm glamorizing abuse? I see both sides here, but first of all, Lana, the problem, one of the big mistakes you made here was and I commented on this post when it first came out, when she first dropped it. Girl, Instagram crashing today. I can't find it now, but essentially I said something along the lines of, it's cool that you are recognizing this lack of representation of a segment of feminism, and you're calling it out, and you're recognizing you played a role in representing that small part of feminism in which you feel needs representation, but next time don't be calling out people, don't be name dropping. It poisons your argument. And I stand by that. Honestly, she called out multiple women of color for being sexy, wearing no clothes, effing, cheating. And the thing is though, okay, being sexy, okay. Lana does the same thing in her music. Her music is very sexual oriented. Wearing no clothing. Now this is kind of verging on the side of slut shaming, like fucking cheating. Like it's like you're writing music. These women are writing music about real things that happen in relationships, just like you're doing with your music, or you said you've done in the past, in terms of discussing real relationships or the abusive side of it. But girl, you cannot equate consensual discussions of relationships with the discussions of abuse in relationships. Of course, that might have more scrutiny or more controversial reactions. It may have more criticism, right? So what Lana is essentially saying is we are putting weight on one part of feminism, which is the uplifting and the empowering of women and their sexuality, but we're not uplifting or putting weight on these stories and ideas and discussions of the more negative sides of what women go through, and embracing that these women that experience these certain situations, they're not necessarily weak or to be saved or anything along that point. They're just as valid as the strong, empowered woman. They are simply in a situation that is toxic and abusive. And Lana is saying that there is a valid space in which women can discuss these things, represent these things, and still be critically acclaimed. Okay, a couple takes on this, and of course, don't hold any weight or salt with my opinion because I'm not a woman. But girl, you're coming for a woman of color as a white feminist woman. That just doesn't sit right with anybody. And then let's just discuss what Lana said to put things into context. To be clear, because I know y'all love to twist things. I fucking love these singers and know them. That is why I mentioned them. I would also like to have some of the same freedom of expression without judgment of hysteria. There you go. By the way, the singers I mentioned are my favorite singers. So if you want to try and make a bone to pick out of that, like you always do, be my guest. It doesn't change the fact that I haven't had the same opportunity to express what I wanted to express without being completely decimated. And if you want to say that has something to do with race, that's your opinion, but that's not what I was saying. I, in my opinion, do believe that Lana wasn't trying to make this a race thing, and she was simply calling out singers that are extremely sexual and discuss parts of relationships that were considered taboo, even let's say 5 years ago, or when Lana originally came out in 2012. And her discussions upon the beginning of her career, were heavily criticized and panned because they were very controversial elements of relationships that people don't like to discuss, or people don't like to feel as though you're glamorizing necessarily. But I think there's a fine line between glamorizing a situation and really just discussing it point blank the way it is. And so one of the things that people talk about when Lana glamorizes abuse is the line, "He hit me and it felt like a kiss." But I don't feel as though the topics in ultraviolence were necessarily glamorizing a situation, but simply putting the listener into the mind frame and the mindset of someone who's suffering from abuse and in a toxic relationship. The problem with art is that I honestly, like, for me, okay, and this is very touchy because this is simply just like how I feel. I feel like all art, as long as it's fictional and it's not, built off of an actual situation of abuse or an actual situation of toxicity, like, we can talk about, okay, there are certain pornographic films in the adult industry that are just built off of the exploitation of women. Okay? There is a difference between, that's why a lot of people are moving towards amateur porn, because there's a difference between a situation, a sexual situation in which everyone is consenting and comfortable versus a sexual situation in which there is a power dynamic. In situations like that, where it's built off of reality, and these are actual people who are being affected and hurt in that specific piece of art, I don't feel like that's a valid piece of art. But when it's a fictional depiction of that situation, it's created in the context of allowing the viewer or whoever's consuming it to better empathize with the situation. I don't feel like any of the depictions of abuse Lana put out in her first couple albums were necessarily glamorizing it, but were creating a character that can help the listener better understand what it's like to be in the shoes of someone who's so helplessly in love with an abuser that they feel trapped or stuck or hurt without them in their lives. And honestly, we've all been in situations, well, not all of us, but I've been in a situation where you feel stuck without a person, and it's an extremely toxic situation because they don't really care. And it's important to have art like this to help you process and digest and understand the situations in which real people around us are experiencing. So for me, I honestly think there is a space for art like this. I really do think that Lana was heavily panned and criticized at the beginning of her career because she was this stupid seeming artist, like, the like empty-headed blonde, which is why she moved from blonde to a brunette to seem more intelligent, be taken more seriously in the industry. I feel like there are valid explanations as to why Lana feels this way about the criticism she received at the beginning of her career. Going back to what I tweeted, I honestly feel like this is going to be something that Lana is going to be dealing with and trying to process and trying to understand throughout her entire career, because that's how she was received from the beginning. And I honestly feel like there's heavy weight put on how people received you at the beginning of your career, the onset of your artistry, at the beginning, the precipice of any big endeavor you take on in life. No matter whether people come around later, there's this traumatic effect, I think, of how people perceived you before they even got to know you. It's hurtful for people to just judge you point blank based on your art without knowing you as a person. So I honestly think that Lana is valid in what she's expressing. It's not as important as other things in intersectional feminism that don't get discussed as much, right? I feel like it would have been fine, girl, Lana, if you had just call out the media, call out the critics, without positioning yourself against these women of color. And if you really wanted to position this feminist argument against other women in the industry for whatever reason, there are a lot of successful white women that you could have, that you're on the same level with, that you may be experiencing similar levels of oppression with, right? That you could have called out versus calling out, let's see, Doja Cat, Ariana Grande. Ariana Grande received death threats after her ex committed suicide. Or did he overdose? I don't remember. But either way, she received death threats because of that. I don't know what to say about Camila, but... Cardi B, Nicki Minaj, good example of just the way women of color or people in rap are pit against each other. Women in rap, I should say. Beyonce's been challenging expectations of black women for her entire career. Okay? Girl... And I'm sorry, I don't know much about Kehlani. My best friend's always trying to get me into her, but I can't really speak of Kehlani. But, girl, Beyonce, how? And honestly, I will tell you just straight up, Lana had to save face, and she said, these are my favorite women, kind of thing. She was like, oh, she recognized, oh shit, like, I came for all these people of color. Now I'm getting decimated. Girl, think before you type. I'm so... It's hard to be a stan on this day. Lana continues to say, bro, this is sad to make it about a woman of color issue when I'm talking about my favorite singers. I could have literally said anyone, but I picked my favorite fucking people. And this is the problem with society today. Not everything is about whatever you want it to be. It's exactly the point of my post. There are certain women that culture doesn't want to have a voice in it. May not have to do with race. I don't know what it has to do with. I don't care anymore. But don't ever, 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 bro, call me racist, because that is bullshit. And my last and final note on everything. When I said people who look like me, I meant the people who don't look strong or necessarily smart or like they're in control, etc. It's about advocating for a more delicate personality, not for white women. Thanks for the Karen comments, though. Okay. Y'all are crazy with the Karen shit, okay? First of all. Second of all, I don't like social justice warriors, and I don't like the alt-right. I really don't like the extreme sides of politics. I don't like to align myself with it. Okay? First off, point blank. I do recognize what Lana's saying in terms of why are y'all making this a woman of color issue, an issue about race? But I do understand why you all are. Okay? That's the problem. I feel like sometimes we have to take people's words for what they were meant to be, the impression, the intention of what Lana was trying to say. But also, we have to recognize there is this other layer behind everything. And we can't take it seriously, the argument seriously, when you're calling out all these women of color. You could have just stated your point and your situation and not pit it against other women in the industry, but you had to call out. Like, and honestly, even if I'm going to just believe what you're saying, girl, why was that list full of women of color? Like, why couldn't it? I don't get it. Like, you couldn't have come for Lily Allen or, like, even, like, Adele or anything, because they have sexual songs as well. And they are extremely strong women who are critically acclaimed. I'm just mad because I understand Lana's argument. And I'm upset that she received so much criticism at the beginning of her career. Speaking on this as just a woman in the space of feminism, I feel like she is valid in the need to be represented, but I feel like the way in which she went about this was extremely wrong. And girl, this is going to be a career fumble, because you called out women of color, and then when you explain what you meant by women who look like me, and I know what you meant, right? I know you didn't mean me being a white woman, right? I know you meant women who are not necessarily the empowered or the uplifted, women who real woman, right? Real women in feminism who actually experience a multiplicity of emotions and experiences in their relationships, and one of it is abuse. And it's valid to express that in your art because it is something people go through. But the wording of a gentle woman, when all throughout history, black women, people of color, women of color are always seen as the angry, irrational, extremely emotional figure compared to the rational white. I don't even know where to go with this. I love you, Lana girl, but you messed up here. And I know you're not racist, but as a white woman, you have to do better. Because with privilege and with power, there is a lot of responsibility. And as a multimillionaire white artist, girl, you could have just ate your food. But as a woman, your argument here, I believe, is valid. And that's as a man, girl. I can't have my opinion be held against other women who may be experiencing a different side of this or be sharing a different view of what Lana said, because they would ultimately be more valid in their criticism as women. So take my shit for a grain of salt. Just because I wear a wig don't mean I ain't no girl. I am a man. I am a cis gay person of color man. And that's just my hot take on this situation. I feel... Let's go through what I really think this is. And I'm disappointed, but I think this is just something all celebrities do. And I wish it weren't this messy. But Lana, I'm not calling you out because everyone does this in Hollywood. But essentially, you have 2 books coming out. You have an album coming out in September. At the end of this release, press release, letter, whatever you want to call it, letter to the culture, you announced your new album. You wanted press. You wanted attention. You wanted to drum up some controversy. But the way in which this was done is just so messy. It's a hard day to be a Lana stan. And I truly believe she has good intentions, so I'm not one to be like, oh, cancel this, cancel that. I fucking hate the is over parties. All the over parties on Twitter, like, go away. You can cancel everybody on the planet. Girl, and all these people, all these random ass stans who cancel people all over Twitter, y'all, you would be, a lot of people would be scared if we pulled up your skeletons in your closet. So, no, baby, that's not cute either, okay? Understand, this is going back to Lana. Everyone's human. Honestly, what Lana did here, compared to a lot of things that we let slide in Hollywood, especially men. I've been hearing a lot about, why are we letting 6ix9ine, whatever the fuck you call him, slide? And we're coming for Lana. It's because women face heavy scrutiny compared to men in Hollywood. So what I want to say is, we are all human at the end of the day. Yes, Lana's wrong in this situation, and I hope she learns. And I hope she realizes that she has a very powerful voice. And she has to be embracing and sharing the right things, uplifting the right topics and the right people. And there's a way to call out misrepresentation or lack of representation within a certain subset of femininity or within a certain segment of the industry without bringing other people down. That's my take on it. Girl, this was a mess, but it was really just a little bit of a rant. I really just had to discuss this for a little bit. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Did I miss anything? This was a spur of moment thing, so don't come for me. But if you guys want to see other pop culture related videos, I do a lot of reaction videos on pop music. Definitely do subscribe. It helps so much. Give me a like if you like this video, and I do want to hear your side of this, what you think about this entire situation, so please do comment down below. And follow me on Twitter and Instagram at XDXRLNG. That's XDXRLNG, and I'll see you guys in another video. Love you guys, stay safe, stay home, and I'll see you in another video. Oh shit. I didn't say it. I didn't say it in this video. Hello, and welcome to this lovely little corner of the internet, which is mine. My name is Darling, and you are a darling too. And today, we're gonna be getting into some messy Lana shit.